Honestly, I feel like leap day should just be like a day off. Like one big day of blank all. You spend 4 years not having this extra day, you get this extra day, and what do you have to do? The same stuff you do with all the other days that come along. I think it should be a day for nothing. Like Dingus Day. Without having to chase people or be chased by people. Anyway.
This is Mac OS Ken.
Dingus Day. It's a thing. Look it up. Ming-Chi Kuo on Apple Vision Pro. Tim Cook teases AI again. And reaction to Apple crashing its car plans. It is Thursday, the negative 1st of March. Yeah, it's the 29th of February, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Lots of food for thought from TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo on Wednesday, all of it tied to Apple Vision Pro. The analyst took to Medium, sharing his thoughts and insights on demand for the headset, a wider release schedule, the rate of return for purchased units, and when the world might get the next one. Demand is down, which is not surprising. When pre-orders started in the middle of January, the wait went quickly to about a month and a half. The wait now is 3 to 5 days, which is hardly a wait at all. Unless Apple cuts the price of Vision Pro or there are more attractive applications, the analyst says the shipment growth in the US market may be limited. Or, just thinking out loud here, the shipment growth may be limited by design. When the thing was announced, a lot of people leaned into the Pro part of the Apple Vision Pro name. Their supposition was that this was a device for professionals, for the die-hard Apple fan, and or consumers with seriously disposable income. Others argued that what Apple was actually selling was a developer kit. In either case, version 1 was never likely to see iPhone numbers, which itself didn't see what we would call iPhone numbers today when it launched, but I digress. Apple could be starting small and building toward wider adoption with later versions. Time will tell. While the analyst talks of limited growth, he also sees the numbers as better than Apple expected, saying that this is still a niche market. Ming-Chi Kuo says U.S. shipments are expected to be 200 to 250,000 units this year. That is better than Apple's original estimate of 150 to 200,000, according to the analyst. Eyeing a global release, the analyst still thinks more countries will get the device by WWDC. At least I think he does. Here's the quote, "I still maintain my prediction that Apple may launch Vision Pro in more countries before WWDC this year." Hard to tell whether that's awkward wording or an analyst hedging his bets. Hey, remember Cult of Mac saying the return rate on Apple Vision Pro could be as high as 45%? They probably wish you didn't. The TF International analyst puts the rate at less than 1% with no anomalies. As for when the world gets a new model of Apple Vision Pro, currently the analyst doesn't see one of those getting into production until late 2025 or early 2026. I hope he's wrong. Apple held its annual shareholders call on Wednesday, and Apple CEO Tim Cook made news on it. Or reaffirm news on it. On the first quarter fiscal year 2024 earnings call, Apple CEO teased an announcement around artificial intelligence, details of which would be shared later this year. Skip ahead a month, and a piece from TechCrunch has Cook talking a bigger game. According to the report, Cook is promising that Apple will break new ground on generative AI this year. He doesn't seem to have said more than that on the subject. Still, to quote Vincent Vega, that's a mighty bold statement. Cook's comments on AI on Wednesday were likely music to the ears of BofA analyst Wamsi Mohan. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote midweek. While he sees a number of iPhones ripe for an upgrade right now, he thinks the number of upgrades will be juiced over the next couple of years. He thinks that will be due to on-device generative AI features and applications on future models of iPhone. Also, he and his think Apple would sell more Apple Vision Pro units if they cost less. I know we all think that, but BofA actually ran a survey. Boy, the things businesses will spend money on, huh? Mr. Mohan has a buy rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $225. It's been interesting to watch reaction to Apple pulling the plug on Project Titan this week. Pundits are starting to line up on the side of, yeah, we all kind of knew this wasn't going to happen. Feels a bit revisionist to me. For me, it was hard to get excited about the thing because the chance of my being able to afford one or willing to spend the money if I could seemed pretty small. I also wasn't sure what the point was, given the huge number of electric vehicles out there. But here's the thing. Despite Apple having never acknowledged it, we all knew this was a thing on which Apple was working. I don't know that I knew we would see an Apple car, but I honestly never expected them to stop working on it. Willing to say that they were surprised is one EV maker in China. A report from South China Morning Post has Xiaomi founder and chairman Lei Jun saying he was very shocked to hear of Apple Car's demise. Now, I know I said electric vehicle maker, but guess what? South China Morning Post says Xiaomi actually unveiled its first car late last year. That is after spending about $1.4 billion US to make it happen. More on the side of the tech pundits is Li Auto CEO Li Shang. He says Apple's decision to get out of cars is absolutely right. The way he sees it, AI will become the top-level entrance for all devices, services, applications, and transactions, in which Apple should stay on top. Another Apple-watching analyst indicates joy at the Cupertino company ditching its car development. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note Wednesday from Morgan Stanley analyst Eric Woodring. According to that analyst, while he and his think the $1 trillion AV EV market was big enough to grab Apple's attention, they think Apple's efforts were too far behind well-funded competitors to make a dent. While some lament the $1 billion a year the company was reportedly spending on Project Titan, that was not nearly enough money. I mean, it wasn't nothing, but it wasn't enough. In 2024 alone, says Woodring's note, it's estimated GM and Ford will spend $18 billion in CapEx and R&D related just to EV projects. What was nothing was the amount Apple Car factored into Morgan Stanley's thinking on Apple shares. The analyst says his firm has ascribed $0 of value in their $220 price target related to the Apple Car. That is still the firm's price target on Apple shares. Woodring has an overweight rating on the company's stock. Apple Pay Later history is about to mean more to consumers. The credit bureau Experian issued a press release Wednesday saying that Apple's Buy Now, Pay Later, or BNPL loans, are now included on Experian credit reports. Marking the inclusion is a move towards greater transparency and responsible credit reporting. Apple's BNPL history will not be factored into existing traditional credit scores, according to the release, though that may change sometime down the road. That said, there is a reason they're doing it. Experian says when BNPL account information becomes more widely reported to Experian by additional BNPL providers, a consumer's BNPL history will be visible to lenders who request an Experian credit report, enabling lenders to make more informed decisions when determining whether to extend credit offers. That seems to be Apple's hope. Jennifer Bailey, the Cupertino company's VP of Apple Pay and Apple Wallet, says in the release that Apple Pay was designed with users' financial health in mind. By adding Apple Pay Later loans to info reported to Experian, Bailey says Apple aims to provide users with the opportunity to further build their credit. From what was I listening to last year, to what was I listening to last month, to what have I been listening to constantly lately? In January, we heard that individual Apple Music Replay 2024 playlists were already available for 2024. Last week came word that Apple Music was offering a monthly version of Replay. Now iDownload blog has info on the streaming service's new heavy rotation mix. The piece says the playlist is the first personalized list from Apple Music that's updated daily instead of weekly, providing new insight into your listening habits. I am happy to say Apple Music did not scold me this time for not listening enough to make it worth making a list. That said, I am not sure my very varied tastes make this an accessible playlist. If you're curious what tunes have been turning you on, the heavy rotation mix is under top picks in the Listen Now section of Apple Music. While Masters of the Air has been flying high for Apple TV+, some viewers might want less drama, more history around the historic Airmen. Send in the documentarians then. Apple TV Plus issued a press release Wednesday announcing a new documentary called The Bloody Hundredth. The release says the one-hour documentary spotlights the true stories of several characters and real-life airmen featured in Masters of the Air, serving as a record of what was endured and achieved by a group of young Americans when their country and the world needed them most. Produced by Playtone Amblin and narrated by Tom Hanks, The Bloody Hundredth makes its way to Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 15th of March. In addition to the title and the premiere date, Apple also outed a trailer for the documentary. You can catch that now on YouTube. And finally today, here is a thing that I 100% did not see coming and can't wait to see happen. Apple TV Plus issued another press release Wednesday announcing a 10-episode adaptation of the William Gibson novel Neuromancer. According to the release, the series will follow a damaged, top-rung super hacker named Case, who is thrust into a web of digital espionage and high-stakes crime with his partner Molly, a razor girl assassin with mirrored eyes, aiming to pull a heist on a corporate dynasty with untold secrets. Well, they wouldn't be secrets if they were told, would they? Neuromancer pretty much invented the cyberpunk novel and has been praised as one of the first and most respected works within the cyberpunk genre, according to Apple. It won the Nebula Award, the Philip K. Dick Award, and the Hugo Award, and it set off Gibson's apparent obsession with writing trilogies. Production companies behind the series include Foundation's Skydance Television and Anonymous Content. Not so secret, that one. Anonymous Content has worked with Apple TV Plus on such titles as the film Swan Song and the TV shows Defending Jacob, Dickinson, and The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. And now, the excruciating wait. No word in the release on a premiere date or time frame for Neuromancer. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you. You people. Thank you very much for everybody who chipped in. Some of you added a bit more to what you were already supporting with on Patreon. It means a lot. Anyway, the show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and at your support at patreon.com/macOSCan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macoscan.com or call 716 780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.